Okay, so I'm going to talk to you today about employee engagement and why it is the key to business success. I've got some slides to go through with you. I'm going to talk, but please do, as Bruce said, feel free to drop any comments or questions in the chat function below so it can be as interactive as possible. So just a little bit about me then. I am Kelly Tucker. I am the founder and managing director of HR Star. There's experience in HR. I started working in HR for the Wildfire and Wetlands Trust, a charity based in Slimbridge, as their administrator. It was a 6-month temporary position that I took on there. I kind of worked my way up over the 8 years that I ended up staying there, through sort of HR officers, they used to call it then, to the HR manager position. My focus initially there was recruitment, but then sort of the general HR manager before I left. So like I said, I did 8 years there, and then when I started my family, I left there and thought it's time to do something different. And I then went and set up a HR department for a small medical market research company. And again, that was for initially for a 6-month period, but that extended. I ended up working there for 7 years. Yeah, so I live in Stroud. I have 3 children, and at the moment I'm juggling work with homeschooling. So I don't know if anyone else is having that struggle as well at the moment, but I have very quickly realised that teaching is not my forte, and HR definitely is. So yes, that's kind of me. So having worked in various HR roles, in really like in a generalist role in all of my HR functions, I soon sort of realised that my passion was for employee engagement. And now years ago, that kind of wasn't really, something that you associate or even heard of. But it sort of came, I think, vogue, if you like, and came up the sort of agenda for HR once people started seeing that connection between sort of business success and having, and really looking after your workforce. So definitely my passion is employee engagement, but at HR Star we do look after all sort of elements of HR. So HR Star was founded in 2015. I was really fortunate that the company that I was working for as a HR business partner at the time sort of knew that I had this passion for wanting to set up a consultancy. And they said, hey, look, we'll support you with that. We will be your first client. So like I say, really sort of fortunate that HR Star took off from day one and had some clients from day one as well. So we look to partner with forward thinking leaders to develop highly engaged teams, so we enhance the employee experience, and that we see will drive business success. Like I say, we do look after all elements of the employee life cycle. So we do day-to-day HR, we do disciplinary grievances, redundancies, all the stuff that you expect would come with running a HR consultancy. And we have various clients. They vary in size, they vary in sector that they work in. But like I say, the one thing that we try and focus on is employee engagement, because we truly believe that if you have an engaged workforce, you will have less performance issues, you'll have less staff turnover, less absence, and all of those managers. So over sort of the 20 years that I've worked in HR, I've seen lots, and there's probably not a lot that I haven't seen. But for me, now having that experience and having really focused on employee engagement for the last 5 years, and definitely I would say in the last couple of years with the clients that we're working with at HR Star, I have really experienced and seen the benefits of implementing initiatives and systems that help engage your teams. It is a real win-win situation, because if you have that engaged team, they will be more productive, and therefore your business will do better. It's quite simple. So when we talk about employee engagement, what does that actually mean, and why is it important, and then how do we do it? So in terms of employee engagement, everyone should enjoy their work. I mean, we do spend so much time in the workplace. I think if you work full time, I think if you're a business leader or in a senior position, that everyone strives for that work-life balance. But, I think we all spend, a lot of time working. So when people enjoy their work, then, that talent tends to stay with you. They're not going to be looking to move somewhere else to get that job satisfaction. They're going to treat your customers better, and therefore your organisation is going to succeed. we define an engaged employee as someone who's fully absorbed by and enthusiastic about their work, and so takes positive action to further the company reputation and interest. It's really sort of that person who goes above and beyond, the extra mile. I'm sure we've all had jobs in the past where we turn up and we have that Sunday night dread. It's just like dragging ourselves into the workplace every day, and how the effect that has on us. But also, you're not then going to be giving 100%. You are going to be clock watching and just waiting to log off and go home at the end of the day. And you compare that to something that you do that you love, then I suppose it becomes less of a job. It's more you go into work, you're really happy, you love what you do, you therefore give more to that, and then you have a positive attitude, and then you also talk positively about that company that you work for as well. So that also enhances that employer's reputation. It makes it easier for them to recruit. Like I say, it means that you have less people leaving. Something that we all often get asked to help clients and new clients with is staff retention. And I think we will see that as well later on in this year when things start moving again, that people nowadays do look to move jobs, but if they're fulfilled and happy in their role, then they're less likely to move on. I think job for life is kind of gone now, and so whereas people used to sort of come into work and look to stay in a role for a long time, that's less so now. But we can definitely do things as leaders to try and keep our talent on board. So employee engagement brings together job satisfaction, motivation, work effort, and organisational commitment. And it really, like I say, some research has been done on this by Gallup, Great Place to Work, Glassdoor, etc. And that correlation between engaged workforces and organisation success has been proven. That being said, though, this is recently tested, and on average only 30% of people at work are engaged, and half of us are looking for a new job. So in a nutshell, employee engagement, how do we sum this up when we're talking to our clients or talking to sort of business leaders about it? So we talk about employees who have good quality jobs and are managed well will not only be happier, healthier and more fulfilled, but also more likely to drive productivity, better services, products and innovation. And I think it's going to be something that is sort of highlighted in these current times more than ever, really, in terms of, people being at home, having time to get some clarity over their work-life balance, over their roles, what it is that they want from their jobs, but also on the other side for business leaders to be really looking at their teams. How do I want to manage my teams moving forward? What teams do I want in place? And I think again on both sides, the way that this situation has been handled in terms of reducing your teams, either reducing their working hours or furloughing them, will pay dividends on both sides. How you've actually gone about that, how you are still interacting with your teams if they are working from home, if they have been furloughed. So I think, and great for us at HL Hub, this is something we love working with clients on. Like, we will see more, hopefully, of this. What can we do as business leaders? What can companies do to make sure that they do have these engaged teams as well, especially when things, like I say, start moving around later in the year and people will be looking to potentially move jobs, etc. And so I do think, like I say, this is going to just become even more important. So engaged employee understands and believes in the direction the business is going. And this is key. And I would say this is kind of the starting point when we talk about employee engagement, really understanding a purpose, mission and objective so that they feel that they're part of something bigger themselves. They understand their role and how that affects and contributes to the organisation's purpose, mission and objectives. People really now want to feel that they are making a difference in the workplace. People don't really just want to turn up and do the 9 to 5. They want to feel that their role means something. They want meaningful work. We do lots of surveying and we do lots of research on this, and one of the number one motivators is people feeling that they have a purpose and people feeling that what they're doing is contributing to something bigger. So that really is key. And they genuinely then want the business and the organisation that they work for to succeed, and they feel that shared success when it does. So it becomes part of something they're contributing to, rather than, oh, look, the business is doing really well, and they're like, okay, great, then what's that got to do with me? Or I don't feel part of that. So the employee will feel part of that bigger picture. So why is it so important? Obviously, we've already touched on this, but you know, those people with engaged workforces, they will find that those engaged employees will be building better, stronger, and more resilient organisations by making better decisions, because they understand more about the organisation, their customers, and what they're trying to achieve. But also because they love what they are doing, they don't get as distracted. They are looking to always, you know, ensure that the business is doing well and furthering to, you know, meet their goals, etc. And you know, I think, like I just touched on, it's going to be more important than ever that, you know, these strong, resilient organisations are going to be those that do survive during this time. You know, we're seeing a lot at the moment with clients who are talking about, you know, the best way to try and get through this situation, and it's those with those strong teams who, you know, they have those good open communication with them, that good trusting relationships, that will be able to have these open conversations. The team saying, okay, this is what we need to do right now. We need to reduce your working hours, or we need to furlough you. This is the plan, you know, to get us through this time. So, you know, people are really at the heart of your business. Most business wouldn't be able to operate without their people, and people's expectations of, you know, the work environment have changed as well, and that will definitely continue to change, you know, through this period of time that, you know, we're finding ourselves in at the moment. So just share some stats with you. So in terms of the impact of engaging your employees. So various research is done, and you know, we do and run polls, and we do research ourselves with our clients, but also, you know, we always keep an eye on wider research as well at HR Star. So just 41% of UK employees feel that they are aligned with their organisation's goals. 36% of employees are likely to leave their job within 1 year. And I don't think that stat will change, like I say, even with these current times. I think once we are at the other side, we will see people looking to move around. But I know that at the moment, recruitment and sort of people leaving jobs, you know, has definitely sort of been put on hold, but that will definitely pick up again. 59% of employees said a personalised benefits package would encourage them to stay at their company, and 23% of employees believe their management team contribute towards a negative environment. And prior to accepting a new role, 46% of employees consider the benefit package on offer. I think that point's really important. You know, it's not just about salary. You know, pay's a hygiene factor. People, you know, expect to get paid for what they do, but people more and more now have like more expectation on what it is that they want from their work environment. And we see it now, like when we make job offers on behalf of our clients, and if it's just that they're offering sort of statutory and a basic benefit package, it really does sway people's decision or make them reconsider whether they're going to accept the role or not. Or it's one of the questions, you know, one of the first questions we get asked, you know, at shortlisting or at job inquiry stage: what are the benefits? You know, people will try and put an emphasis on work-life balance. So it's also about sort of like where it says the personalised benefits package, and it's understanding what motivates your team of employees, because what motivates one person won't necessarily motivate another. So, you know, it's being able to really talk to the people that you're working with and find out what it is going to motivate them, so that they can be rewarded with something that actually makes them feel like it's a reward. But also the stats about the organisation's goals. What is everyone trying to achieve at work? What are the goals? So, you know, that's something I would say is a good starting point, you know, when we're looking at the engagement piece and we're working on clients with employee engagement. So as I say, like, we've worked a long time at HR Star sort of developing employee engagement initiatives, working with clients on how we can implement it. And you know, it can seem quite complicated or a big project to work on, but we try and talk to our clients and make it as sort of manageable as possible. So something that we have created is the Employee Engagement Star. So this is something we launched earlier this year and we work with our clients on. So basically how it works is, you know, like I say, through our experience, we believe that these are the key areas that create that engaged workforce. So the HR Star, the purpose bit in the middle, is a good starting point for us. So when we work with clients, one of the first things we like to do is really go in and get to know the people, the organisation, and we do that by holding one-to-ones with all the employees. We give them a safe space to be able to talk to us. You know, we're very experienced at holding one-to-ones, and like quite often, and you know, many times the people say, I can't believe I've just told you all that stuff. I just seem to have a knack of getting people to open up. It's probably like my years of experience of doing it, but it's a really, really good good way of getting to understand the kind of current landscape of that organisation. How engaged are their workforce? What are the things that they're really enjoying about working there? What are the challenges? What are the things that they would like to see be done differently? Because more often than not, when we start working with a client, we'll say to them, you know, how happy are your workforce? Or, you know, what are your issues? Oh no, everything's fine here. Well, we have a slight issue with this. And then when you actually start talking to the people, you uncover so much more. So what we do with that information then is we collate it. We never share feedback with the business owners as in, you know, X person said this. We just get it as a general overview. So we feedback and say, okay, these are the things that are going really well in your organisation, and these are the areas that we would suggest that you concentrate on to improve your engagement levels. And then we identify which part of the star that they want to start working on. So like I said, we try to always start with the why. Why are you doing what you're doing? What is your mission? What's that big goal that your organisation is committed to? Because once we have this, we can cascade that down into pretty much every other part of the star and of the organisation. You know, what's your purpose? Why does that goal have to be achieved? Like, who benefits these days working with clients on just establishing their values? Because once we have these values, like I said, we can cascade that down. We can recruit against the values, we can measure performance against it, we can reward against it. So values is key, and like I said, that should sort of feed into your purpose and your mission as well. So we work with clients on that. We do lots of sort of work. We start with the business leaders to find out their mission. Some companies already have their mission, vision and values, and it's just then about how do they actually take that off, maybe like a poster on the wall, and actually put it into the workplace. So that's our starting point, understanding that why and that sort of implementation of your vision, mission and values. And like I said, if they don't have that already, we work with them to establish that. So really find out what it is. And obviously that varies from organisation to organisation. Then we look at the people strategy. So what are we doing to ensure that our people are supporting that mission, that they're living those values, that they're going to ensure that we can achieve those business goals? So the best way to achieve a company's mission is by making it part of every employee's role. So we have various ways of doing that. So we would start by looking at, you know, do they have a people strategy in place? Do they have any sort of workforce planning in place? How are they looking at their structures? Does that staff structure support their vision and mission, and will it enable them to achieve? So if they're looking to achieve business growth, do they have a scalable staff structure? Does this current structure enable them to deliver? So we'll do a lot of work on making sure the right structures are in place. We do role design, so looking at, you know, do people even have like a job description? If not, you know, we'll help create those. Or do they need changing? Do they need to be brought in line with the mission? So we've done so much work on that with our clients. It's probably one of the biggest projects that we work on with clients is that sort of workforce planning, restructuring, role design. Of course, as well, when we're doing the restructuring piece, if we have to look at changing people's roles, redundancies, etc., then obviously we have the experience and we're able to support in that way as well. Just because obviously, you know, we have to check that the right people have their T's and C's in place, and that we have, you know, we follow procedure if there is a redundancy situation. And then talent sourcing, if we're looking to bring new people into the organisation as part of this structure, then we also, as part of HR Star, have Star Search, which is our talent sourcing part of our organisation. So we can, you know, really work with clients to find the right talent to support their structures. Star Search sort of kind of organically happened. I never really wanted to do recruitment, but it sits quite nicely when we're working, like I said, on the people strategy element of employee engagement. And we do operate very differently in terms of to a recruitment agency, in that we actually go out and source the talent for the role. We don't have a pool of candidates that, you know, we pull in, but yeah, so we can do all that stuff. And then monitoring employee engagement, like going in, doing a check on an initial sort of fact finding on how engaged your workforce is, but then you know it's something that you have to. We have ways that we can continually monitor employee engagements through sort of pulse questionnaires, through surveys, etc., so that, you know, we can be sort of getting in the moment feedback as well from sort of the team to make sure that the things that we're implementing are actually working as well. So learning development is also key in terms of, you know, the engagement piece as well. You know, you've hired the best people, you've designed the best jobs, and you have the most engaged workforce. But if you don't get the learning right, then you will underachieve as an organisation. So we need to create a learning culture which makes personal development part of everyone's day to day, and that can be in various forms. You know, we look at creating learning strategies for our clients, and we work really closely with an L&D expert who writes and delivers training for our clients, and that could be anything from online learning to coaching to classroom style learning. And you know, that's why if you have the strategy and you look at what the need is in terms of that ongoing learning and development, you can create, you know, a bespoke strategy that delivers on that for the organisation. Something that we do a lot of is the leadership development and management training, because you know, this stuff really does need to come from the top. If your leadership team aren't invested in this, then you know, it's going to be really hard to implement any of it. And you know, we see it all the time where people have been promoted into a management position because they've been good at a job, but they've not necessarily then been given the tools to be a leader, a manager. And you know, it's a time consuming and it's a tough job managing people. So we have developed strategies and learning and development material to really support the management and leadership team as well. Like I said, that's through various forms. And we also have created an intro into HR training course, because a lot of the stuff that we go in and start, we want to enable managers to be able to continue with that. So you know, we will give them some intro into HR training to help them be able to improve communication, run one-to-ones, etc., so that they can continue with the good work that we start with them. And we're always there to support, and we will, like I say, continue to deliver training, etc., with them. So learning development is really key, but people need to own their own learning development. I think that's also key as well. You want to foster an environment and culture where people are seen as, you know, that if they do invest in their own personal development, that they will achieve from that. So they will get, you know, additional responsibility. They'll get recognised for it. They'll be able to give more to the organisation. So that's key. And like I say, the leadership and management stuff is something that, you know, we work very closely with leaders in creating sort of, you know, the environment, giving them the tools that they need to be able to manage and lead on this. So I've just found these stats in terms of 10 great things that leaders do. So they own and live the company values. Like I say, it needs leadership team when we create the values. They communicate openly and early, and that is key. You know, we've seen in this time people deal with kind of communicating, having to furlough their teams or make changes to their working hours in very different ways. And for us, the ones where I think it's gone well is where they have communicated openly and early with their teams and been honest about the situations, but they've continued then to communicate with them throughout this process. You know, things are changing all the time. We're regularly keeping our clients up to date on the changes that the government are announcing daily, and it's really important. And then, you know, leaders are managing that and communication it and passing it on to their teams. They inspire other people to reach higher. You know, I'm sure we can all think of people we've worked with who inspire us to want to do more and achieve more. And, you know, that's what we're looking for. And that's really the difference, I would say, between a leader and a manager. They make mistakes and you know, they are open to that and they admit that. They recognise big wins, small wins, and hard work. You know, this feeds into our recognition piece. And trust. I think trust is being sort of really tested at the moment in terms of everyone having to go and work from home, you know, trusting that your teams are working away at home, or, you know, you can't actually see them. And, you know, it's something we talked a lot to our leaders about when they said, well, I'm not really sure that I want to implement home working or more flexible working, because what if they're not doing it? I was like, well, that's more of a trust issue, and that's, you know, something that we need to look at, because you need to be able to trust your teams, and we work with them on how we develop and foster, you know, a relationship where you have that mutual trust. They make the right but not always popular decisions, and they add value to their teams. They help them succeed, and they have the courage to be honest and visible, and they take care of their people. And I think that final point, they take care of their people, is something, you know, in these times that we're seeing, like I said earlier, will really pay dividends in ways that people are managing their teams. I'm sure we've all seen lots of stuff over LinkedIn, etc., of how different companies are treating their employees, and, you know, it's so important that we are looking at. And also when we return to work, it's going to be really important. Everyone's going to be affected really differently by this situation. So, you know, that well-being piece is going to be key when we return to work as well. So the next point on our star is the reward and recognition. So 72% of the working population in the UK would feel more motivated by receiving a simple thank you from their employer. So that's 2 in 3 people would be more productive if they were just recognised. And for us, we see that all the time, that how much, how motivating is it when someone recognises that you've done a good job or just says thank you. And we say that to our clients all the time. It doesn't always have to be big gestures. It can just be a simple thank you, or it can be, do you know what, guys, you've done really well this week, we've had a great week, let's finish half an hour early today. So recognition is key. But there are obviously the more sort of structured approaches to it as well, in terms of having the reward and benefits packages, a structure linked to this, and employee recognition programs. So we work with our clients to create these that fit within their organisations, and as I said, it's something that we can then link to their values, linked to performance. So like I say, the reward and benefits and saying thank you is a massive part of creating that engaged workforce. And the workplace, and this is true more than ever now, the workplace is more varied than ever. So creating agile workspace to give your employees a space to concentrate, collaborate, and the ability to change the working environment or the location depending on the task they are doing. And I think this is, like I say, now as important as ever, with lots of people working from home. I think they would have, there quite a lot of reflection out of this time, going, okay, yeah, maybe I don't want to commute 3 hours every day if I don't need to. Or actually, I have missed being in the office and the social interaction. And I think people will definitely have more clarity on what they want from their workplace when they return, and of their well-being, like I touched on just a second ago. When people return to work, they will have more clarity, but they will have been affected in different ways from the the situation that we've been in. We'll have people who won't be very motivated to come back to work because actually they quite enjoy being sat at home on 80% of their salary and watching Netflix all day, through to those who actually, they do want to explore more flexible working, or to those who have really sadly been affected by coronavirus and are feeling just really upset or really affected in a negative way by it. So I think a lot will need to be done in terms of, I think leaders will need to understand that it's not just going to be, okay, welcome back everyone, off you go, business as usual. I think, there's going to be a lot around making sure that, people's well-being is, is okay. And, that is in terms of their physical, mental and financial. Everyone's going to be affected in different ways, like I said, but in terms of like physically, mentally different, but financially. So, nowadays we have to look after the well-being. It isn't just a nice to do, like it's essential. And those leaders and companies that are doing this will be attracting the top talent, and they will be retaining their staff as well. And there isn't one size that fits all. There'll be different employees will need different support. So we have, like I said, seen more people really taking this on board, and we are working now with our clients more and more on this as well. So in terms of employee engagement, it isn't ever done. And I think, as you can see from all the stuff that I've just gone through there is a lot to consider, but a lot of it overlaps and a lot of it feeds into each other. And you don't have to do everything before you start to see a positive change. But the more you put in, the more that you will get out. And there isn't obviously the one size fits all. But we work, like I said, with clients of all different sizes and different sectors. They various locations, and it is amazing how if you just start on this employee engagement journey, how quickly you will start seeing the benefits of it. And it's something, like I say, I love doing. I love working with clients on it. And now, having worked with clients, for a significant period of time on this, I have definitely seen the benefits of doing it. It's something that I try and, work on every day with my team, during this time. Like we do regular Zooms, I check in with them individually as a team. So yeah, it's something that I'm very passionate about, and I really hope that that business leaders see the importance of this, and we can just continue working with more and more clients to help them create these engaged teams as well. So that's me. I've talked quite a lot, so I'm just conscious of time as well. So in terms of happy to take any questions.
Kelly, thank you so much. You shared so much with us there, and I think it's really, really relevant right now with so many companies really wondering how to keep their teams engaged and feeling very anxious about how they re-engage their employees once everybody comes back after lockdown. We've had a couple of questions come in, so again, guys, do please keep sending them through on the chat, and we'll just work through those. So a couple of the questions that have come in are, how long is a good amount of time to stay in a job? I think you were talking about this very early on, that no longer for life, and people want to feel like they're part of something, and that there's a sense of purpose there. So is there a good amount of time to stay in a job?
I think it kind of varies, and I see that when we're working with clients, if they'll look at a CV and if someone's a job hopper, they'll be like, oh no, I don't want that person. But I think it depends on the reasons why people move their jobs, and I always say that to people. Like, I've seen some amazing candidates who have job hopped, but it's because of the various situations. Sometimes it does just take a bit of time to find out actually what is it that I want to do. It may have been that they did a few temp roles to gain some experience in certain fields. Well, I think on average what we see now, it's around sort of like the 2-year mark that people tend to get sort of like itchy feet and want then that sort of next step, maybe a new role, progression, etc. So yeah, I wouldn't say there's an amount of time, but I would always say, even if someone does seem to have a lot of roles on there, there's definitely there are normally reasons for that. But I think 2 years in a role tends to be quite a good amount of time for somebody to have really experienced it, gained some good knowledge and experience. And yeah, I definitely do see people looking for more after kind of that sort of time frame.
Okay, this question came in from Tony. Tony, I'm just going to unmute you because you've mentioned in the chat that you've got slightly more to your question. You've asked what would count as a job hopper. If I just unmute you, do you want to expand on that?
Yeah, no, it's just because obviously you always hear of people saying, oh, you don't want to be a job hopper, and even if no employee will know you, all they see is what is in front of them. So it's sort of going, what in a way looks like a good CV, even if you might have been in a number of different jobs without an explanation. Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of like how, because obviously all they have is that piece of paper. So what it can, should you include on it that, oh, I was maybe redundant in this one, hence why it's so short. But what should you do on a CV if you have been in a number of jobs? Because as you're saying, so in my career, I was unfortunate that pretty much in my first ever career position, I was made redundant after 9 months of being there. Then I ended up going freelance for just less than 2 years. I then was in a full-time job. One of my freelance positions went into a full-time job. I was there for 2 years. I've just been at another place for the last 2 years, and I've literally just changed before the whole markets happened. But I mean, in terms of my permanent positions, it's gone from, I've been an event manager to a senior. So, you can see that, but how do I explain the other parts well, but also in front of an employee? That makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what I would suggest, for me, the first time kind of, obviously is your CV. That's kind of like your first contact with that recruiting manager. So I would make your CV sort of highlight your achievements and what your main skills, that what you learned in each of the roles, what you achieved in them. Because I think if somebody has a CV which sparks your interest, you think, okay, so they may have had quite a few roles, but they've actually got a whole sort of range of skills, experience that they've gathered from that, and then I think that would then engage conversation. So for me, if I receive a CV, and there are some sort of key achievements under each of their roles, then I'm very okay, I want to find out more from that person, and then they would have a conversation, and then you can talk through a lot. Obviously, I was made redundant, unfortunately, and then I moved into freelance, and I went into a role. So I think it's about making your CV sort of, and make it concise. If you're recruiting and you're getting in lots of CVs, lost in amongst many. So I know that we've seen a whole host of different CVs when we're working on Star Search, and we'll always comment if a CV is one that's quite visual, that catches our eye, but then it sort of makes us want to find out more about that person. So make it quite concise, and just bullet point, I would say, sort of your achievements and your experience, and stuff that will spark further conversation.
Yeah, I think this is definitely a time where we're going to see lots of people in various industries that have been really hardly hit, where employers are you're going to be looking for new work. So it's really great tips there in terms of pulling together your CV. And I think equally with employers, you talked earlier about the challenges that they're going to be facing as people return to work, because people have got used to a little bit more flexibility. They haven't had to commute. They've been homeschooling. They've been enjoying a bit more time with their families and their children. They've been having time in their day to exercise, and all of those sorts of things that can prove challenging when you're committed to a full-time job, and particularly if you're committed to going into an office 9 to 5. So those are definitely going to be challenging times for employers that they're going to have to face. And so Nick has been asking, in relation to that, how important do you think a quality CSR policy is for attracting or keeping quality staff? So in relation to this, employers are going to face this challenge and maybe this kind of pushback from employees. If they still want to make them attractive as an organisation that people want to work for, what are the kind of things that really are going to be important, or do you think are going to be key going forward?
Yes, I think, exactly. I think having those kind of policies like CSR, etc., in place will be key. I think when you look at, I know, and it's a big corporate like somewhere like John Lewis, they are known that, they are an employer of choice, the way that, they have their policies, that everyone's, a partner within it, how they treat their staff. And I think, even on a lower scale, smaller scale, people will be looking at that. Definitely now, we see that people will research a company before they make a job application. And so, I think if you have, that stuff in place, you need to be shouting about it, definitely, because people will be reviewing Glassdoor, they'll be reviewing websites, etc. And that's why when I talk about it as well, creating like your engaged employees, because people will naturally move on, and that's fine, but they are going to then be ambassadors for your organisation. So when people leave, you want them to be leaving positive reviews, you want them to be talking positively about your organisation. And I think when people start moving around later in this year, because there will be like you say, more clarity on how people have been during this time, they will definitely be doing more research on the company and looking at how that company operate, how they treat their employees, how they treat their customers, etc. And I think, having that stuff in place is going to be key to...
You just stopped there, you froze for a moment.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right, don't worry. It's internet connections, isn't it? It's challenging, but everybody's hovering on the internet all day, so it gets blocked in places. Just to expand on that, you spoke earlier about some of the benefits packages and that companies are looking to offer more personalised things. So I think traditionally there was always kind of a pension scheme, holidays, healthcare, all those kind of things. What more could employers be looking to offer when you talk about personalised? What kind of things are you starting to appear in those kind of benefits packages?
Yeah. Okay. So, there's a whole host. So, in terms of employee assistance programs, so where people can have access to private medical insurance or private appointments, or sort of debt helplines, financial helplines, or financial advisor help. We see that as well. Also, in terms of sort of gym memberships, like dental care, there is such a host of benefits that you can offer. And actually, then it's never as costly as you think it's going to be. We're currently looking into this at HR Star as part of our wellbeing offering. And an employer can set up, these employee assistance programs for as little as like £5 per month per employee. And for that, they will get private medical insurance, they will get access to certain helplines. But I think where we've seen it's something that big corporates have done, and I think, again, this will be something that smaller businesses will be looking to implement on a smaller scale, where the option to, have flexible working, buy and sell holiday. So where if you don't use your holiday, you can in effect give it back and you get paid for that, or you can buy more holiday. So there's a whole host, and I think if you are thinking of implementing a more tailored or a more flexible benefit package, the first thing to do is to find out what it is your teams actually want, because there's no good putting on free gym membership if nobody wants to go to the gym. It may be that the demographic of your workforce is they're more sort of working parents, so actually they want more flexibility, they want to be able to take more holiday or more time off in the summer, or they would like some like childcare support, etc. So it's really important before, and if you are thinking of venturing on a more flexible or more enhanced benefit package, that you actually find out what the benefits that your team would actually benefit, so that they actually then do become a reward, rather than just, okay, I can get free membership, I don't want to go to the gym, so it doesn't, I don't benefit from it.
Have you seen that there's a change in how employees actually commit in terms of their commitment to that organisation by having more flexible benefit package? Because there's lots of kind of talk about millennials and Generation X and the kind of lack of the kind of high expectations, but the not really wanting to do very, very much. And I think as in employers, because we've probably got a mix on this call today of some people that employ people, some people that are employees. To kind of counteract that, as an employer, if you feel that you are giving a great benefit package and you have then high expectations in return, do you think that employees are more motivated by the better the benefit package, or is there something else, or is it just actually this is now the kind of the baseline that everyone needs to work from, and to get employee commitment and sort of harder working, more engaged employees, you have to do even more?
Yeah, I think it varies in terms of, we've got a client who they wanted to do more, and they added like things to their benefit package in terms of, gym membership, like the like enhanced eye test vouchers, etc. And there was very little take up on that. I'm really disappointed by that. But I think, like I say, I think it depends on organisation. By organisation, and this client was then expecting, we're giving them all of this, they should be, more like working harder for us. So I think some of that is educating like the leaders in terms of, it doesn't necessarily mean that they will work harder for you. It's more of an expectation, and actually it's having that stuff on offer will attract and retain like the best talent, because whilst they might not like show that they really appreciate all this stuff, it's good for them to know that it's there. And if they were then considering looking to go somewhere else, they probably would then compare what they currently have on offer versus what they would be going to. So if I was looking to move role and my company give me loads of different benefits, and the role that I was going to didn't, then I would probably think, I don't know actually, because whilst I'm not utilise all those benefits, at least they are there for me should I want to. And it gives, I think, that message from the employer that we want to invest in our team, hence why we put all this stuff on offer for you. But you will always get like a variance in terms of how people like their take up on this stuff. And I've worked with clients so many times, they say, but we give them all this stuff and they're still not happy. And I was like, yeah, okay, please all the people all the time, but it does make a difference. And like I said, I think that's why if you are going to go down the road of looking to implement benefits and flexible benefits or enhanced benefits, it's really a good idea to find out what benefits your team want, because then you are likely to engage them more if you're providing benefits that actually they do see as a reward and a benefit.
Yeah, so I guess this also comes down to company culture and values, and what you talked about earlier is that benefits are one thing, and that's great. I work for an organisation that kind of recognises that I need flexibility or I need support in terms of financial advice or well-being or whatever it may be. But actually, I'm also working for an organisation that I feel I personally have a sense of purpose, and this is again perhaps coming back to your point about John Lewis, and it is the employer of choice. I wrote that down, to be the employer of choice, and I guess that's to some earlier slides which are talking about what are your values and what are your goals and how can people be part of that. So benefits are one thing, but actually maybe there's work to be done initially in terms of what kind of organisation are you, who do you want to attract, who's working for you, why do you want to work for you, and what sense of purpose will they have when they're working for you, and then the benefits are just the kind of almost the nice to have.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. I think as well, like we all know in the past, I think where you want a player to get a pay rise, and very quickly then that just becomes the norm, and very quickly then that benefit like wears off. But I think if you have that more longer term of like I'm going to work, I feel like I have purpose, I'm motivated by my job, job, I get job satisfaction, I'm recognised by my employers, I have opportunity to develop, I have opportunity to, you know, learn new things, have you know, add responsibility in my place, I know there's a chance for me to progress. I think that will be a bigger motivator and more engaging for a workforce than, like you say, the benefits. Yes, the benefits are important, but they are, I think, just like the icing on top rather than the kind of driver, you know, behind employee engagement.
Absolutely. I'm conscious that we're running out of time, and I know a couple of people have perhaps got some more sort of personal questions around EVs and all those kind of things. Kelly has very, very kindly said that she is happy for everybody to get in touch with her. So we are going to be sharing this this link with you and Kelly's contact details. So you've all registered through Eventbrite, and we will share all of those contact details. So Kelly is really happy for any of you on this call, on this event today, to free of charge get in touch with her and just to chat through. So perhaps those that have got some very specific questions about maybe trying to restructure your CV and what that looks like, do get in touch with Kelly, and she will be absolutely thrilled to help you. I personally like to say thank you very, very, very much, Kelly. I think everything that you are doing is so great right at this time. I mean, it's great all the time, but I think particularly at this time where employees and employers are both facing challenges, and that whole engagement piece is really key and really important. So thank you very much for coming onto the event today. And as I said, we will share all of Kelly's details on this presentation. So again, you can share it to any friends, colleagues that may find it beneficial and interesting. So thank you again, and have a really super day, everybody.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Bye.